Well, we got a little fun today. Christmas came late or early, depending, but my L2501 is no longer going to be a manual adjust tractor. I've researched tons of different options to go hydraulic with multipliers and diverter valves, and I found this one, and I like the simplicity, the ease of installment, and I think it's going to be good and rugged too, unlike some of them, and I'll give the reasons why later. But let's just first ordered everything, got it here on the table, was shipped nice. I haven't touched anything. This is how it arrived, so I'm going to show you here what we got. Do a little flyover here. I believe that's the rear mounting bracket for the remotes on the back. That'll be those two. Here's the manual diverter valve. Here's one. So what we're going to do is we're going to rob from the joystick for the front loader. And when you pull a lever, it'll divert it, and it'll send hydraulics to the back of the tractor. I wanted more than two, so two remotes in the back, two sets, because not only do I want top and tilt, but then I want to be able to do an angled deflection on the snowblower, or a power blade, plus my blade can offset. So I want to be able to have all of them, but I don't need to do them all at the same time. So that's how I can divert, and it's going to give me other options, which I'll show. But anyways, there will be a handle. Here's the hardware. Those handles, they will screw into there, and then you just manually rob the hydraulics from the loader. And this is how it all came. It's all assembled for my tractor. Instructions. You get Andy's email and his phone number. He brought zip ties. He's got all the connections set. So here's the back then. And it'll be the same thing. I'll be able to reach back. One of these will be, when I divert it to the back, one of these will be energized with hydraulic fluid, but then I'll be able to pull the lever out and divert it to the other. So like if I wanted to do a top and a tilt here, I could switch them instead of using both at the same time. So then I can switch back and forth, and then when I'm done, I'd push this valve back in and put the hydraulics back to the front of the loader. But I don't have to take any of the tractor apart. This is all going to connect. Quick disconnect. These are the mounting brackets for these up under my joystick. And then I also got the, this is just for the top link. And then I've got the connectors there. Yeah, so he's got videos. I'm going to make a video kind of as I did it. It shouldn't be too hard to do, but it's kind of where we're at. So I'm just going to put some tape over these. Bo says hi. To protect them. Some painter's tape or something until I'm ready to put the connectors on. And we'll go from there. Thanks. Okay, so we're going to mount. This is actually the bracket that goes under the loader arm to mount the diverter valves. And nice thing about it, everything's color coded, and this actually has painter's tape on. It says outside. So this is going to mount like this. It says to use the middle two bolts, so that's going to go just like that. All right, so it says the middle bolts should be these. And we're taking our bracket. He's got it marked outside. The holes are offset. So We will start that guy first. So there's our mounting bracket. I guess we can take off the tape that says outside. Got that figured out. Now let's go get the valves. After installation of the brackets, install the left switching valve. First marked yellow and white. So we're going to do the inside one, and we need it marked yellow and white, which, if this is the way they came, you can see that, oh, here we go. Yellow and white. So that's going to be the first valve we put on the inside of that bracket. So now that we're done with the little addendum, if you want to call it, for the double bracket, like what I got, the double valve. So now we go back to our first sheet. And here we go. Orient the valve with the quick couplers pointing straight up and long hoses pointing forward. Put a flat washer on one of the 2.5-inch bolts, slide it through the top mounting hole on the switching valve. Hold the valve up to the bracket, insert the bolt through the bracket, install lock washer and nut on the bolt. Repeat for second bolt, tighten with a 1/2-inch wrench. So, pretty simple. Let's go. Okay, so mounting the valve, what I found is, okay, here, now it showed you how to mount the bracket for the double, but then you go back and the instructions are for single. So here, orient the valve with the quick coupler pointing straight up. You're not going to have quick couplers on the inside valve, but we also have and the long hoses pointing forward. So we'll just mount the one that's designated to go on the inside that doesn't have the quick coupler, and we will mount that with the long hoses pointing forward. So that's just a little, might be a little confusing on the orientation, but pretty simple. Says the bolt and that, lock washers. I'm going to switch out the lock washer, and I'll put a flat washer with a nylon nut. Then I don't have to worry if it gets loose or not. And 1/2-inch wrench. We'll do the same for the second. So let's get back to the tractor. So here we are back at the tractor. I've got my bolt set up. These are the long hoses. They're facing forward as per the instructions. So now we're just going to run this up into the bracket. You better appreciate what I'm doing for you, because this camera in the way is a pain in my ass. Okay, we got a little grunt on her there, so get this grunted up. Guten tight. All right, now before we get too carried away, now we're going to get our handle, screw that in there. And we need to get to the bottom to hold that back in here on the other side of this, so that we can just hold the very end and lock that in. So I'll go get the handle. We'll be back. Okay, so I grabbed her up with a little bit of Loctite. So now I put a little Loctite on the handle here, And we're going to screw that into our valve, like so. Now, we want that tight, but what we have to do, push it in. Now this is very, very important. I'm going to adjust here just to show how important it is. Okay, that is the bottom of our valve. When we're pushing up, we'll be diverting. Vice grip goes here. That's a circlip. Keep it from going all the way through. Do not put the vice grip or anything in between that. It has to go on the outside. So that's what we will be doing. There we go. Okay. Yep. So I'd recommend doing that on the bench before you put it on. No big deal. We made it through. Okay, so then we unhooked the white, and we went to the white, which is by the zip tie. So what I did, we got a yellow, that's our lift circuit. All right, so right now, nothing has changed. We've just, instead of going in those, we're going in here. So now we have our lift circuit set up with this, and then the hoses are running to the back. So when we divert it, our lift up and down is going to go to the back instead of the loader, and we'll use the joystick to control. Okay, so now we're taking the female ends out of the valve, and we're going to put that in to the male ends on the loader here. So the front one first. Alright, yellow to yellow and white to white. Of course, get these routed a little crooked. Here we go. Oh, got that one in the way. There we go. And once you got them, you might want to change them a little bit. I've got protectors for these coming. They're not here yet, so right now everything's just going to kind of be a little bit of a mess. But, so we haven't changed a thing. It's going to work exactly the way it's supposed to now. Like it always has, because we're not changing anything. What we've done is, instead of the fluid coming into the joystick and going to the loader, now the fluid is coming through the valve, then through the joystick, or it's still coming out, but it's going from it's going through this valve. So now we'll be able to, by moving this lever in and out, switch between the loader and the rear. So these two hoses now, they will go to the rear, and then we will have to mount our mounting brackets back there for the rear remotes when we get it where we want it. But we're also doing a double back there, so it's like a double because we got another valve now got to put here, which I have. And so yeah, then I think once that second one's here, we'll decide where to run these, which is best, and we'll zip tie them out of the way. Might have to unhook these a couple times to get everything, not even saying might. Gonna rehook these and remount them or run them, because I've still got, now we got 4 more hoses to put here. So it's gonna get a little busy, but then once they're running together, we'll be able to, you know, run them side by side and zip tie them together and all that, so that they're, and I got more of this stuff coming here. And yeah, so we'll be good. All right, I got the long hoses again. All the ends are marked with color, so I'm just gonna run these down through here for now. I don't know where they're going, but you gotta get them out of your way. So that we can mount this next next valve body. All right. Yeah. So this guy. Okay, so my hydraulic sleeves, they had them kind of mixed for what we need. They had the yellow, I think it was the yellow and the red together, and then they had the white and the blue. So when I went to reach to get them connected, they weren't fitting because one was going one way and one was going the other. So I took the sleeves off, and now I'm going to put the red and the blue together, and then I'm going to put the then I'll get the white and the yellow and run them together in the same sleeves, and then they'll be able to reach, because the way this was, it wasn't gonna. I still gotta route this down the other way. There we go. They just weren't gonna. They reach, but they weren't gonna reach because of the way that on the machine, as you can see here, the red and the yellow were together, and to run them to different valves, you don't have the room. So the way his Andy's comes in the kit, this is simple. I made sure the caps are all, you know, the females are plugged, and then I'll just slide these off, and the yellow and the white run together, and the red and the blue, these come out of these metal lines and they curve to the front of the tractor and then back. So I'm dropping these lines down and curving them up the other way, and then you can gain the length that you need. So it's no big deal. They're just coming out of rigid hoses. But now yeah, so we'll get our red and blue, and you just got to follow everything. Here's the white and the yellow, and now that they're together and they're happy, I'll just thread these back together, and they can't go side by side, so we'll just, because of the female ends, so you just start one before the other and just rework them and slide that on, and then we can run them together, and you don't need to see all this fun stuff. You know what I'm doing. But then it'll fit, because otherwise it's not going to fit the 4-way block. They're just... But these protectors are nice. They're heavy duty. You know, they're the stock ones. And then I just had my aftermarket stuff that I bought. These protectors. They just showed up in the mail, so I can run them. I'm going to run my hoses underneath that came in Andy's kit. I'm going to run them the same way. But yeah, we'll just get this thread through. There we go. So now we got the white and the yellow together. Pull it up, pull it down. Then it's not going to you're not going to rub any holes in the lines. You don't got to worry about the lines wearing. You got this stuff instead. And now yeah, so the white and the yellow, they're coming up. And then you can kind of, I recommend getting the 2 valve bodies on before you try to, because it's not that you can't. I hooked up the lines, and then I realized I was running them crooked. They weren't gonna, you know, they were crisscrossing and all that. So now this way here, I want these guys out of the way. So here's the white zip tie. And then the yellow, zip tied to the yellow. And, you know, now if we want to protect the rubbing up here, you know, I'm probably going to cut some more just to protect them. We'll just see. You got to play around with it a little bit. It's really not that big of a deal. But now we got the red. So here's the other red line. And I want that underneath all these. There. Now, I got my red and blue together. Like I said, you don't put them in the sleeve side by side. Do one in front of the other because the female ends are too big to go in side by side. But then we'll just work this over. And down. But this is just such minor. It's just detail stuff. Don't let this scare you away from how this is going to end up, because it's going to be so worth it. And there, we'll just got it switched over. Yeah, at first I'm like, whoa, this ain't fitting on the L2501, you know. And it's like, oh, that's because it's running the hoses together that are routed different from the factory. There, now they reach just fine. Pull our protector off. Do the front one first. Red to red. Blue to blue. There, now that part's done. Well, we can see if we made a mistake running them, or if we wanted to run them. Yeah, these should probably, so here we go again. This is what I'm talking about. These, I like them on the outside, but these were running in between. So we'll run them to the inside, and then they're not touching sure you got white to white. Yellow to yellow. There. Because I kind of wanted them out of the way here. And see these, this is here, it's kind of rubbing on the loader arm frame. But I think a big zip tie that he gave me plenty of, you know, we can zip tie this, probably right to this line. And then you just zip tie these tight together, and then they're not rubbing on the loader arm. But I think that's a good deal there. So yeah, we're set up nice. Let's take a look at a different angle here. We'll lower it down. So here's what we got. We got our valve on the inside. The yellow and the white. And then we have our blue and red. Like I said, all the zip ties everywhere, color coordinated, so as they say, idiot proof. And then we have the next step will be to run the lines underneath. And like I said, I've got more of this stuff that I bought online because I want it all protected. So that's where we're going next. Okay guys, so now we're gonna run in the wires or the hoses underneath the tractor. I went and bought, I got some 3-inch, either 2.5 or 3-inch of that protector that, like on the stock tractor that comes with. So I got the 10-foot length. So I cut it 8 feet. That'll get the hoses going underneath, and then I'll use the 2 feet left over up by my joystick and that for that new hose. So I just cut it and then put a little heat to the end where it frays. It's vinyl, but yeah, that stuff's pretty heavy duty. It's the same quality or thickness of the as the stock stuff. Another reason why I take these ends, because there's just sliding all over everything. And I was going to run all 4 through the same sleeve, and I thought I'd just keep my runs together, because they'll be splitting up in the back. I don't know. I probably, like I said, a little overkill on this, but just another layer of protection. Go. Now I can just push this up. There, and you can slide it on wherever it needs to go, but that should be good there. And run her up under. All right, I didn't really film this because it's all custom. I've got the 2 diverters back here also, so I'll be able to switch between, you know, we're diverting it up by the joystick, but then I wanted 2 here so that I could have 4 remotes in the back. And I took that $3 toolbox off. I got to get the shavings off here yet, but I just made some angle. I used some angle iron, and I put that on top. there's an angle right here. I was gonna screw into that, but I just wanted it up just a little bit to make the room to get everything out of the way. And so now when I'm driving the tractor, and I tried this already, to turn around, I turn to my right all the time. So I'll just reach back, and then I can work on the valves. And just, move them from the driver's seat. Kind of tested it. I guess you can see it on video here. So when I want to control it, I got my joystick to control it, but I can just reach back here and divert where I want it to go. And that's not going to be all the time, but it's there as an option when I want to do it. So then for room, I actually had room to run this one on the left side here. I zip tied everything up underneath. The drive shaft goes through to the front, so I came past where that ends, and then I came across over and then up. But that gives me all the room. Instead of having two of them come over here, I didn't want them getting to where the rear, the top link is. I'm not getting it. You don't want to have it where you can get any of this in the line, so I'm just getting it close to the end of the threads, but leaving a couple threads bare. And then just push her right up in and wiggle her a little bit to, you don't want to cross thread it. Jeez. Going right in there. And then it's a 3/4 and 7/8. Just get one on there. And it doesn't take too long for it to start snugging up. There, just give it a good tight. Now everything's in there. And so now we're actually to the point we can get pretty serious about testing the top link for the first time. We've got the top link here, and I'm going to hook a bungee or something just to hold it up in the air, and then we're going to plug it in and see if the damn thing works. That's why we're here. Okay, so we got the moment of truth. I got pretty much everything zip tied up out of the way. I was able to run. Now the blue and the red, that'll be the left and the right of my joystick. So I can run two different things left to right off the joystick. This, when it's down, will be on the right side. And whatever I have plugged in here, left and right, will control that. And then when I pop this up, oops, sorry. When I pop this up, left and right would do that one. Same with this. This is the joystick up and down. So with this up, this will control my top link with the up and the down. And then this would, if I push this down, the right side would be controlling up and down whatever I have plugged in there. I just chose to put those in there. But so now I'll get this fired up here and we can hopefully have success. Press down, sucks it in, press up and it extends. Well, that's the way we like it. And this valve here on the, now let me just take it. So that's energized. See right now? I'm moving the joystick, I'm not lifting my loader arms. So if I pop that in, now I got my loader back, everything's good. Pop this out. Whoop. Did I get it? Yeah. Pop it out. Now, up and down's doing that. Then, if I had a second implement, I just push that down, and whatever I have hooked up there, the up and down would control that. But the second I don't want it anymore, I pop that in, and I'm back with my loader. Now, well, I can shut this off. So what's nice about this is when you're thinking the rear implement, we have our detent. You know, we can hit the ball valve, push that past that, and now that would actually move in a float position, whatever I have hooked up to that circuit. So, like if I have the tilt on my lawnmower, I could put that in here, and now with my lower arms in float, it'll float up and down. And then if I have a top link hooked to this, and I put that up into detent like I would with the loader and float, then it'll rock back and forth. So we're getting everything following the contour when I'm mowing. There's no electronics. There's no drilling. There's no taking the machine apart. There is some oil involved because I got oil on me. But here's the 2-foot sections I had left over. I didn't put zip ties on them. Just in case they're rubbing on anything. This bracket here doesn't move. So, you know, it's touching there, but this is the important thing. That's moving up and down. And, yeah, then so you got the 4 lines going underneath. I got one staying on this side, the other going on that side. Comes up through here. Feeds that valve. So like I said, when it's up, it's energizing this one. When it's down, it's energizing this circuit. Same with that one. White and yellow. Everything's color coordinated. Yellow to yellow. White to white. And then we got left and right is red and blue. And so this one would control anything I want to hook up left to right. So if I got my top and my tilt here, using the joystick up and down, then if I had a shoot rotation and a deflection on the blower, this one, if I plug the rotation in, would do with this. And then if I want the deflection, I just pop this one up and that would do the tilt. Same with my blade. Here to be the left and right. Angle my rear blade. And then if I wanted to hook the offset cylinder to this, I just pop that up. And then I can offset it, pop that back down, angle it the way I want it, and then off I go. And then it's just a simple, they're the same valves here that are up there, but $1,700 and $1,715. That got me everything I needed, all the fittings, the top link cylinder, the hoses, and then I also have 6 more of these. When I set up the cylinders, I'll have the 6 plugs already. So, man, I'll tell you, I think it's going to be a good thing. Well, another project done, and I couldn't be happier with the results. Guys, I really think this is the way to go, and I'm going to tell you why. I think the hydraulic multipliers and all that are the rage right now, and the electronic diverter valves. Well, that's what these are. These are diverter valves, but they're manual. The multipliers, that you see a lot of people have them, and they're popular because they're inexpensive, and you can get like 8 or 10 of them or whatever. Well, the problem is you got to control them with electronics. So then you have wires that go, so you don't have all the hoses, because they're only fed with 2 hoses. It's one, you know, like your third function. It ain't a third function, but you're supplying it, and then you're controlling it with a box with rocker switches. But that does not control the cylinder. That controls the flow. Now, there are some that then they also have a rocker switch that controls the cylinder. But the thing to know about that, unlike this setup, is that rocker switch, you can't feather it. It's either all or nothing. So it's getting all the hydraulics or nothing. Where this, because you're using your joystick for the control, you can feather it. You can, you can give it less or full, or plus you can also go into detent with it. So, like, here's my top and tilt. If I put my, this is my top link. If I put a tilt cylinder on here and my lawnmower, I put the joystick up into detent, my lawnmower will ride with the terrain side to side, plus with the swivel on the top link and the lowers in float. It's almost going to be, like a U-joint. But, so this is so simple. There's no wires, so you don't have to worry, all those ones you see, they got tons of wires to control that solenoid. Well, if you're driving through brush or anything else that can come up, them wires aren't that big. The other problem I have with them is they are not machine specific. They're a universal. So you're going to have, they've already got the very nice waterproof, weatherproof ends, but they're going to give you like 12, 14 feet of wire or whatever it is, and you got to bunch all that shit up, and that looks horrible. And, it just, I don't like the idea. You got to have a huge box over there with switches, and then you still have to have a way to control them. So here, there's no electrical whatsoever. It's all manual. It's idiot-proof or Biden-proof, however you want to call it. And it's just very simple, You've got 4 of these, and they're multipliers. And you're using what's already here. Plus, you don't have to worry about check valves in the right spot and all that, because this is all downstream from that, and your tractor manufacturer has already taken care of that. So you're not running the risk of doing any damage. You've got everything. You got Andy on the phone. Call him. Call that number. He's going to answer. He's busy as hell doing these, and I can understand why, because the common sense is great. Another thing he does, this is only a 1/4 inch hose. That's a 1/2 inch plug, but it's only 1/4 inch hose. And he told me, which makes sense, that's kind of like your built-in flow restrictor. Now, this is a lot more manageable. You go with too big and it's getting too much hydraulics. YouTube's full of videos of guys that their implements are going way too fast, or the angle's going way too fast. And 1/4 inch is plenty, because that thing moves just as fast as I'd ever want it to go, but it's very easy to hook up implements and everything else. So I don't know, man. The only thing I had to do, I took off that piece of shit $3 toolbox, and you know, I can always add a better toolbox somewhere else that actually would hold something. And all I did was I made the brackets to mount these, and I used 6-inch long 2x2 heavy duty angle iron, painted it up. So I drilled 4 holes in the cross member going across here. And that's it. And I just cannot be happier with the results, with the ease, because I've never done anything like this before. And so I highly recommend it. And he doesn't sell a lot of these, obviously. I bet he starts to. They just do the single, and then they don't have any back here. So he's just robbing from the up and down, and then you've just got one of these back here. And I'm like, well, hold on. I want 4. So if we can multiply them up there, why can't we multiply them back here? And I can reach them, and so that's where we're at. And guys, I just, for out the door, total price, everything included, and he did, the only, I had to get the wrench out 4 times where I plugged into here. And, you know, if you can't do that, sell your tractor. But he does all the work. The color coordinating that he does keeps everything so simple. And for $1,715 delivered to my house within a week, I just don't know how you go wrong. Kubota wanted damn near $5 grand, and that's not a toppling kit. That was just everything else. You know, well, you're paying somebody to do it, you know, the labor and all that, and then those valves underneath and all that, but and you don't get the function out of them that I get with this. Because I've got so many options. I can put, just because that joystick has that detent, I can use that detent circuit for anything I want to. I've got that option just by plugging whatever, you know, I can plug my top and tilt over here and then be the left and right of the joystick instead of the up and down. You've got options. And then what I'll do is for the implements that have the hydraulics, I'll just, I bought some electrical tape. I'm going to tape everything so that I know where I want that cylinder to be plugged into. But I would not hesitate, guys, to do this, and then just yeah, step up, because it's the biggest reason I wanted to go hydraulics is when I'm snow blowing, or really if you're using anything with the PTO. When I have to get off the vehicle to adjust something, and the PTO is running, you got to kill the RPMs, let them die down, hit the clutch, kill the PTO, then you can get off. Then you got to lift the lower arms to get the weight off, and you all know the routine there. Or now, I can just keep the PTO going and just bump it a little bit. If I'm throwing too much gravel, I can just tilt it back a little bit, and on we go. So, as you can hear, my dogs are not happy. I did an 18-hour brisket today, and I think they're about ready to have a little more, as am I. So, with that said, call Andy, get this damn thing loaded, or ordered, get it delivered and get it on, and you will not regret it one bit. And just use my idea here. I think this is the best way to set these up. Thanks, and cheers.